Few games have left as profound an impact on me as Call of Duty: World at War. Released in 2008 by Treyarch, this fifth installment in the Call of Duty franchise is a visceral, unflinching portrayal of World War II that shaped my childhood fascination with history and revealed the harrowing realities of war. As a kid, booting up the game was both thrilling and unsettling, its grim depiction of conflict sparking an interest in the Second World War while forcing me to confront its brutality. When I recently replayed the campaign, I expected a nostalgic revisit to a beloved classic. Instead, I found myself gripped by its intensity, marveling at how well it has aged and how deeply it still resonates. World at War stands out as the most disturbing entry in the Call of Duty series, and arguably one of the most unsettling war games ever made. Its unapologetic brutality, inspired by gritty war films and rooted in historical events, delivers a narrative that is both immersive and sobering. In this exploration, I'll dive into what makes World at War an underrated masterpiece, examining its storytelling, gameplay, and historical accuracy. The game's opening sets the tone with a haunting main menu that eschews the triumphant orchestral swells of typical war games. Instead, a ghostly choir chants in German, accompanied by stark black and white vignettes of war, executions, tank battles, and smoldering ruins. As a kid, this menu was so unnerving, I'd rush through it to avoid lingering on its eerie imagery, fearing nightmares. The vocalist's cryptic message, later revealed to be a German chant, amplifies the foreboding atmosphere. Without firing a shot, World at War communicates its intent. This is no glorified adventure, but a descent into the horrors of war. The menu's minimalist design and chilling soundscape remain a masterstroke, instantly immersing players in the game's grim tone. World at War unfolds across two theaters: the Pacific Theater, where U.S. Marines battle the Imperial Japanese Army, and the Eastern Front, where Soviet soldiers clash with the German Wehrmacht. I replayed the campaign on Veteran difficulty, a masochistic choice that tests even seasoned players. Veteran mode strips away the arcade ease of lower difficulties, with enemies delivering lethal accuracy and an endless barrage of grenades that feel like homing missiles. They're literally just pelting me with grenades right now. "This is ridiculous," I muttered during one frustrating session, dying repeatedly to what I dubbed grenade PTSD. The mode forces you to hug cover, regenerate health cautiously, and rethink strategies, offering the most realistic experience the game can muster. It's punishing but rewarding, mirroring the relentless attrition of the war it depicts. The campaign alternates between two perspectives: Private C. Miller, a U.S. Marine in the Pacific, and Private Dmitry Petrenko, a Soviet soldier in Stalingrad. This dual narrative captures the global scope of World War II, contrasting the jungle warfare of the Pacific with the urban devastation of the Eastern Front. The Pacific campaign opens with Semper Fi, where Miller, captured by Japanese forces, is rescued by Sergeant Roebuck and Sergeant Sullivan. The mission introduces the Japanese soldiers' fanaticism, a historical nod to their fierce devotion to the Emperor. Banzai charges, suicidal bayonet assaults accompanied by blood-curdling screams, are terrifying, especially when you're low on health. "The moment you hear Banzai shouted through the bushes, you better run," I noted, recalling the panic of those encounters. Japanese tactics like snipers in trees and booby-trapped corpses keep players paranoid, reflecting the real-life guerrilla warfare of the island-hopping campaign. The Pacific missions set on Makin Atoll and Peleliu are steeped in historical context. Cutscenes between levels, blending animated maps, infographics, and real war footage educate players on the battle's significance. The Peleliu landings in Little Resistance and Hard Landing evoke the chaos of Saving Private Ryan's D-Day sequence, with Marines storming beaches under heavy fire. These briefings, narrated by characters like Roebuck, voiced by Kiefer Sutherland, detail the staggering casualties and grueling conditions, making players grateful they're only simulating the ordeal. The game's dedication to historical immersion is evident in its references to films like Saving Private Ryan, an achievement for Saving Private Ryan, and Full Metal Jacket, a character named Private Pyle. Hollywood talent, including Sutherland and Gary Oldman, elevates the performances, making the campaign feel like an interactive war blockbuster. The Pacific campaign's visuals are deliberately bleak, with washed-out greens and browns punctuated by vivid bursts of fire and blood. The gore is unrelenting. High-caliber weapons dismember limbs, explosions scatter body parts, and dying soldiers writhe in agony. As a kid, this graphic violence was shocking, a stark contrast to the sanitized shooters of the era. "Some of the gore in this game is despicable," I remarked, recalling how it left me both fascinated and disturbed. The mission, Burn 'Em Out, sees Miller navigating Pololu swamps, facing ambushes and flamethrower combat, while Relentless culminates in a chaotic airfield assault. Tanks clash and Marines fight hand-to-hand, creating set pieces that remain visually stunning 16 years later. The campaign drives home the protracted, bloody nature of Pololu, which historically cost thousands of lives over months of fighting. The Soviet campaign, beginning with Vendetta, shifts to Stalingrad, one of history's deadliest battles. The opening scene, where Dmitri survives a massacre among his fallen comrades in a fountain, is seared into memory. Inspired by Enemy at the Gates, it's a haunting tableau of loss, with Gary Oldman's Sergeant Reznov stealing the show. "For 3 days I have hunted him," Reznov growls, targeting General Heinrich Amsel, the architect of Stalingrad's misery. Oldman's performance is electrifying, his grizzled Soviet soldier embodying vengeance and resilience. The mission's stealthy sniper gameplay, crawling through ruins to hunt Amsel, is bone-chilling, with the main menu's ghostly choir amplifying the sense of haunting. A sniper duel, where the enemy uses decoys and requires multiple hits on veteran, is excruciatingly tense, showcasing the game's ability to blend scripted intensity with historical grit. The Soviet campaign's color palette, bleached grays and desolate urban sprawl, mirrors Stalingrad's devastation. The city once echoed with conversations of friends and lovers. No longer, Reznov laments, capturing the war's toll. The German Wehrmacht, unlike the Japanese, employs calculated tactics and advanced weaponry like MG-42s and panzer tanks, reflecting their technological edge. The mission, Their Land, Their Blood, fast forwards to 1945, with the Red Army advancing on Silo Heights. The contrast is stark. Stalingrad showed the Soviets at their lowest, while Silo depicts a resurgent force crushing a battered Germany. Cutscenes detail the staggering Soviet losses, millions dead since Germany's 1941 invasion, while highlighting the Wehrmacht's desperation as their allies collapsed and resources dwindled. The Silo Heights battle, depicted in Blood and Iron, is a unique tank mission where Dmitri pilots a T-34. The flamethrower secondary weapon, though historically questionable, fits the game's hellish themes. "This level's like an arcade section," I noted, enjoying the chaotic fun of mowing down enemies. The mission's brevity prevents it from overstaying its welcome, serving as a tutorial for multiplayer's tank-enabled maps. The Soviet campaign's climax, Ring of Steel and Eviction, sees Dmitri and Reznov storm Berlin, fighting through a ruined asylum and flooded subways. The game's soundscape, distorted metal guitars and Slavic choral music, amplifies the chaos, with tracks evoking Doom's intensity. A harrowing choice in Eviction, where players decide whether to shoot surrendering Germans or let them burn, underscores the moral ambiguity of war. This scene stuck with me as a kid, I recalled, feeling the weight of its violence. The Pacific Campaign's finale, Blowtorch and Corkscrew and Breaking Point, takes Miller to Okinawa, a grueling battle marked by monsoon-soaked jungles and relentless Japanese resistance. The castle assault is infuriating on veteran, with enemies spawning endlessly and lobbing grenades. "This mission sucks," I groaned, though its gloomy aesthetic, blue-gray light and muddy terrain, captures the battle's misery. The choice to save either Roebuck or Polonsky, as Japanese soldiers refuse surrender, mirrors the campaign's themes of loss and futility. The Soviet finale, Heart of the Reich, and Downfall, culminates in the Reichstag assault. Reznov's comrade Chernov, a pacifist, dies tragically, and his diary reveals a hidden mechanic. Your treatment of surrendering Germans shapes his view of Dmitri, from hero to remorseless savage. This nuanced detail, rare for Call of Duty, prompts reflection on morality in war. The game's soundscape is a triumph. Sean Murray's soundtrack blends Oriental motifs in the Pacific with Slavic anthems in the Soviet campaign, immersing players in each theater. Metal guitars during intense battles, like the Reichstag assault, evoke raw power, while ghostly choirs underscore the horror. Sound effects, though dated, give each weapon character, though I wished for bassier tones. The visceral sounds of dismemberment and soldiers' screams enhance the gritty realism. The voice acting, from Oldman's Reznov to Sutherland's Roebuck, is top tier, making characters unforgettable. The Black Cat's mission, where players control a PBY Catalina's turrets, is a standout. Defending against kamikaze attacks and rescuing sailors, the mission captures the terror of Japan's desperate tactics. Research for this video revealed a sobering truth. Many kamikaze pilots aged 17 to 24 were coerced or peer pressured, their memoirs revealing internal conflicts between duty and survival. This historical nuance adds depth to the game's portrayal of Japanese fanaticism. World at War's multiplayer, though overshadowed by Call of Duty 4, is a gem. Using the plutonium launcher to bypass abandoned servers, I found a vibrant community. Maps carry the campaign's washed-out aesthetic, with tank-enabled battles and eerie artillery sounds. The infamous martyrdom perk, dropping a live grenade on death, sparked rage but nostalgia. Nazi Zombies, the game's surprise hit, blends 1950s sci-fi horror with wave-based survival. Maps like Nacht der Untoten and Verrückt, with their claustrophobic asylums and blood-scrawled walls, terrified me as a kid. Shino Numa introduced the iconic zombie crew, voiced by legends like Nolan North, while Dare Reese's Pack-a-Punch and teleporters elevated the mode. Easter eggs like secret radios and Samantha's lore fueled community obsession, cementing zombies as a franchise staple. Historically, World at War strives for accuracy. Weapons like the PPSH-41 and STG-44 are faithfully modeled, though minor inconsistencies, like the King Tiger's anachronistic appearance in 1942 Stalingrad, exist. The dismemberment mechanics align with high-caliber weapons' real-world effects, though the M1 Garand's lack of gore compared to the Browning 30 caliber is a quirk. Tanks in the campaign operate unrealistically, with health bars and overly aggressive tactics, but this simplifies gameplay for Call of Duty's arcade style. The cutscenes and briefings, blending real footage and statistics, ground the game in history, making it an engaging educational tool. Initially, critics gave World at War mixed reviews, citing similarities to Call of Duty 4 and excessive violence. Yet its additions, tanks, zombies, and a darker tone set it apart. Treyarch's collaboration with veterans ensured authenticity, respecting the war's sacrifices. The game's moral complexity, seen in choices like the Berlin executions, challenges players to question their actions, a rarity in shooters. It doesn't glorify war, but portrays it as a chaotic mess of moral grays, blending arcade action with historical weight. World at War taught me to appreciate the sacrifices of millions while grappling with war's tragedies. As a kid, it sparked my curiosity about history. As an adult, it reminds me of the human cost behind the games we play. Its raw storytelling, immersive gameplay, and haunting presentation make it a timeless classic. I hope you'll join me in celebrating it, perhaps by trying zombies or sharing your own stories. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.